I'm about to do what no other candidate's going to. I'm going to give you my thoughts on what's going on with the protests and lootings and crimes that are happening in our streets right now. First off, I need to say that George Floyd and Breonna Taylor should be alive and well today. What happened to them, there is no excuse for. Absolutely nothing. That should not have happened. That was cops believing that their badge gives them the right to do whatever the hell they please. Tayshard Brooks, based on the video I've seen, if I were on the jury, I would vote that the police fired in self-defense. In that video, taken from the camera on the Wendy's, you see him running down away from the cops, stop, turn back, and fire at them. Now, I have no doubt that in the trial, the prosecuting attorney is going to claim that a taser is not a lethal weapon and therefore the shooting was not justified. Doesn't matter whether the weapon is considered lethal or not. In Colorado, at least, self-defense is defined by a reasonable person believing that their life or the lives of others are in imminent danger. Based on the video I saw, those police officers, absolutely, I agree that they believed that their lives were in imminent danger. A weapon was being pointed at them and fired at them. Now, when it comes to protesting, I absolutely believe that everyone has the right in this country, everyone has the right to protest. Go marching down the street, hold up signs, shout. Let people know how you feel. Let people know you're upset. Let people know why you're upset and what you think needs to be done about it. You have every right to do that. So I'm not going to blame protesters for protesting. But the moment that you harm someone else or cause property damage, you're no longer a protester, you're a criminal, and you should be treated as such. I'm old enough to remember the riots in LA after the police officers were acquitted of their crimes back in the 90s. And I see the same thing happening here. A bunch of black people who, starting out with peaceful protests and ending up in riots where they burn down their own town. What good does that do? What's the point? All you're doing is hurting yourself. All of these businesses that you've been going to for years no longer exist because you were an idiot and you burned them down. It's stupid. Now, I understand and I realize that this is not protesters as such doing this. This is an anarchic element that is using the protests as an excuse to create chaos. This is not acceptable. You know, in preparing for this video, I did a little bit of research, not a huge amount. It took me less than 10 minutes to come up with these statistics. But the National Academy of Sciences did a study, and that study found that if there is a bias in police shootings, after crime rates are taken into account, that bias is against white civilians. They found that 55% of victims of police shootings were white, 27% were black, and 19% were Hispanic. And I will link this in the description below. I also found a website called HeyJackass.com. I love that name. And it is statistics, up-to-date, real-time statistics for the city of Chicago. Just Chicago. What it says is that for the month of June, and I'm recording this on the 21st of June, there were 50 people shot and killed in the city of Chicago. 311 were shot and wounded, for a total of 361 people shot in Chicago this month. Total homicides, 54. In June. In Chicago. Last week's totals, and this is for the week of June 14th through the 20th, 24 were shot and killed. 113 were shot and wounded for a total of 137. 25 total homicides last week. That's half the total for the month of June. Year to date, for 2020, there were 272 people shot and killed. 1,255 were wounded, for a total of 1,527 people who were shot in the city of Chicago. 299 total homicides. That's in 6 months. Now, most of this is going to be black on black shooting, gangbangers, robberies, whatever. The vast majority is black on black violence. But nobody's talking about this. And as a white man, I'm not supposed to. That's considered, racist somehow. Stating facts has become racist. That's because the Democrats' narrative is that the black people are oppressed and the police are racist and we need to do something about it. Now, do I believe that all police are racist? No. Do I believe that there are racist cops? Absolutely. I think they're a small minority. And I know for a fact that there are cops out there who should never have been given a badge. They believe that that badge gives them the ultimate authority to do whatever the hell they want. That's a bad cop. Should never have gotten through the academy. Should never have been hired. Should have been turned away. After they went through training and were evaluated, they should not have ever gotten a badge. But many of them did. And what we find is that there are police officers, like the officer that is being charged with murder for the George Floyd death, who has had more than one incident of excessive force reported against him. Now, I understand, having some friends who are cops, I understand that criminals are going to try and use excessive force as a defense because they don't want to go to jail. It's absolutely going to happen. But I also know that being a police officer is a tough job. Being a fireman or a paramedic is a tough job. Not a job I'd want to do. I also know that defunding police departments is not the answer. You want chaos? Go to one of these cities that's defunding their police in 6 months and see what that's like. See how that works for them. Just in the city of Chicago, a person is shot every 2 hours and 43 minutes. A person is murdered every 13 hours and 51 minutes. These are not police shootings. These are civilian shootings. These are people shooting each other. Now, I've heard stories of the south side of Chicago. Never been there. In fact, I wouldn't go outside of O'Hare Airport if that city felt so bad. But New York, Detroit, LA, Seattle. All these cities have a few things in common. They have high crime rates. There's a lot of black people being shot and killed. And every one of them is run by Democrats. Now, you'd think I was a Republican saying that. I'm not. But since I'm running against a Democrat who, as near as I can tell, doesn't do anything unless his party tells him to, and only does what his party tells him to, I'm going to hold him responsible for what his fellow Democrats are doing, because I have to believe that if he was in their place, he'd do the same thing. Is this the kind of government that you want? Is this the kind of leadership that you expect and deserve? I'm fond of saying after every election that we get the government we deserve, because after all, we're the ones voting for them. The silly part is that after 8 years of Democratic in the White House, people voted for a Republican expecting change. In 2018, midterm elections, they voted in a bunch of Democrats expecting change. This year, I fully expect that Congress is going to be voted back into Republican hands, both House and Senate, because people are hoping for change. What they don't seem to realize is that voting between a Republican and a Democrat isn't going to change anything. You know exactly what they're going to do. They're going to do exactly the same thing they've always done. If you really want change, isn't it time you tried something different? Tried someone different? Anyway, that's my thought. You have a wonderful day.